crazy that you guys talk about the media having such a strong influence on your families and relationship style and whatnot. So actually begs the question, did the media help or did it destroy Black love? Let's talk about the evolution of Black love in our community with the emphasis on how the media actually affected it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it does influence, and it should. I think having the positive images showing, like I said, aspirational things, what could be, what helps you out the most for having a long lasting relationship. I think that's good. Unfortunately, that's gone away, I believe, over time, just uh, observing media from like the Cosby Show that we talked about earlier to now, even before that, like the Jeffersons and shows in the '70s. You don't really see that anymore, and I think it kind of shows.
I have to agree with Delvin, and I hate to keep calling out this particular family sitcom that I guess we all grew up on to some extent, but it was very impactful because I think it showed us what success could look like between a couple, not just emotionally, not just financially, but like as a team, you know. And that was something I didn't see growing up in my family. So I was glad, and I didn't see it growing up in the church a lot either. I saw families that stayed together, but I saw the dysfunction too. So to be able to see someone winning, even if it was fictional, was instrumental. So I think it kind of started off in some ways as a boon to us. But I think just to cut to it, when we lost ownership of our voices, then it started being a tool against us. So I think it has done more damage than the good it ever did. I think that people do still look to television for models of behavior and for microcosms of reality and life. Different scenarios to play out. And I think what we get fed a lot now isn't functional. It's not anything we can really grow on. We mostly just dine on dysfunction in terms of our media. And I don't know if it's what our appetite is or what we're being served.
I agree with you on that one. Because I do think a thing could be good and then it could become bad, right? So we mentioned that, not to be mentioned, show that we all grew up on watching.
Yeah.
But that was because back then there wasn't a lot of shows that were popular, that were getting the money, the vehicle that showed us in a particular light. And so, of course, we're going to gravitate to that, right? But now you have media everywhere, right? And shout out to Dr. Cosby at the time for having the vision to put that show together. But you have other people who are doing other types of content because they feel like that's what's going to sell to their audience. I don't want to say Tyler Perry, but he's another content creator that proliferates in our community. So he's creating content in the now. And some people would say the type of content he's putting out there is not great for us, right? At least in terms of how it depicts men, for example. Some people would say that.
Particularly straight men.
Right.
Yeah.
And so over time it's changed. And I think it's because once something became profitable, the people who want to make money came into the business. It was no longer about just a message, right? To your point, losing ownership of the voice, right? Same thing happened to hip hop to a certain extent when it was like more true to the art form, something off the corner. People were talking about their real experiences. Then executives were like, wait a minute, we can make money off of drug dealer talk. So now we're proliferating that. But part of it is that we also like that too, right? We told them that, hey, yes, this is something that we want to buy, and they produced it. And so we copped it. Right. So, yes, I do think media does shape. It absolutely does because it's a part of programming. They do it in so many different ways. It could be from the music you listen to. It could be a movie that you've seen. How many of us can quote movies from the 80s or from the 90s or whatever that shaped something about our belief in love? Right. And so I keep thinking about that scene when Trey and old girl got it popping for the first time in Boys in the Hood. I was like, yes, that was kind of like my first time, too. I resonated with that. Right. With the shots of gunshots in the background.
There's a lot of questions I have from this.
With the gunshots in the background.
We'll talk later.
He was punching in the air. Y'all remember that?
I
He
remember
was
that.
really frustrated, and that good black queen recognized now was the time to
give
soothe
it up.
his wound
Yes.
with vagina.
Vagina.
Yes.
And the message there was loud and clear. That was when black women were supporting black men in a way that I don't know that we're seeing that now. And I wonder if it has anything to do with our media.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Okay, so look, so let me ask this then. Out of all of that, right? So what do you see as that's so prevalent in our community that's different? So you talked about how black men, or supposedly her giving up that, but JJ was her supporting this black young boy,
Mhm.
this
King.
young black
The
man.
king.
Mhm.
So what type of
She crowned him that day.
You know,
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
so what do you guys see as far as something significantly that has changed?
I think it's went from life life imitating art to art imitating life. It could be like it's too real. It's like it's just a mirror of what's going on now. People don't want to see what's aspirational, like what you talked about earlier. I just want to see what's happening in real life. They want more realism now and less aspirational content.
I think that's a really nice way of looking at it. I disagree though. I disagree because I think two things. I think people are drawn to toxicity. Okay. I think people find happiness in other people's lives really boring. I think they find it boring, and I think they get jealous and they want to turn the channel like, oh, well, screw you. Your life is good. Mine's not. I think we want to tune in to people who are bigger train wrecks than we are. And so I think there was a search for that. And I think that in addition to this, the search for the drama, sometimes you run out of stories to tell, right? Sometimes you can only tell, how we got happy so many times. And when you're looking for a way to spice up the story, you got to throw something ridiculous in there. I think maybe we just sped down the road toward ridiculous. The final thing I was going to say was, I think that we got into a mindset of how to do me and not how to do us. So our media became more individualized and less communally focused. Became more about this one black person's individual journey as opposed to our journey as pairs or our journeys as groups or whatever. And I think that shift in the way our media was produced and consumed affected the way that we thought about ourselves and the way we thought about how we moved in the space amongst each other.
And I'll just add to that, because as you were talking, two things came to mind, two words: reality TV. I remember Real World, and before then it was like a cop show, maybe Cops. might have
It
been
was
yeah,
that,
cops.
right?
It was
Mhm.
cops.
And I think the timing for me makes sense because when we started having more reality shows, I think that's where you can see a change, I feel like, because it came when we were still relatively young.
Mhm.
I remember being in college trying out for the Real World, right? And at that time, Real World
Yeah.
had been out for quite some time, right? So we're still growing up, and the media is also still growing up. What they realized was that you can do reality shows for almost, fraction of the cost to do full production shows.
Mm.
You can find people who want to be famous. You can find people who are willing to do crazy things on television to be famous. You'll find people who are willing to do emotionally damaging things on television. And so now you have an audience who are watching TV for aspiration or instruction or direction, right? Who are not getting direction at home. They're watching the boob tube, as they used to call it, right? And you're watching women throw glasses at each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's conflict resolution, right? And so people, or these relationships where it's transactional, heavily, or the music that you listen to says, hey, forget love. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you some vagina for a bag and to make sure that my cell phone bills are paid. Like you're not, so I feel like, right? I mean,
No, you're right.
You know what I mean? I got a couple of cell phone bills.
Yeah, yeah.
I can put something on it.
I'll pay some Boost Mobile.
I got a few spots in my plan.
Not just act loud.
The family plan is a great deal. You know what I'm saying? Just don't call the other one. But it's supposed to be separated.
Notice they said only cell phone bill.
Hey, if that's what it costs in 2025, don't get mad at me. Okay. You walk into the store, you see the price. Oh, that's what it is? Cool. Let me go into my wallet and pay. Go ahead.
So, you know what, though? You guys are playing it nice. Let's be honest. You guys are being really nice about this
Okay.
topic and you touched on it briefly when you
Pause.
talked about the.
Just briefly.